Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for inviting me to share about eye gazing with you today. Windows to the soul, they say. It is no wonder then that strangers shift their gaze with mine, creating that essential rift between our souls divine. For who is brave enough to bear their crystalline heart and velvet mind to intertwine with mine in that first imperfect, impromptu, impetuous meeting between our souls divine? Courage can come once or twice, and I meet your gaze and you meet mine. But 1, 2, 3 seconds, and we no longer can hold that gaze, that soul exchanging intense, engaging dance between our eyes. We shift and dart our gaze, and once more look away and close the shutters of our soul until another day. When I discovered that poem from Jennifer, who writes under the Raven of Poe, one word, YouTube, it's amazing. I knew that I had to do my work on eye gazing. When I was little, I would take my kitties out into the backyard and they'd hop up on the fence and we would look into each other's eyes. I think I was 7. Then I come from a very large family and I was instructed to put them to bed. And little Jim, you know Jim, he lays in his crib and we hold hands, and then we just looked at each other and he drifted off to sleep. Didn't know what we were doing. The eye gazing didn't do it, but the love did it. The love helped us enter into that divine essence. And then when that happens, I can see it in your eyes. Many years later, I went to Institute of Transpersonal Psychology to go to school and do some research on the Christian and other traditions, to become a spiritual guide. But when I was there, I realized that there was an absence of any eye gazing. There was nothing. We didn't do that, but I did. So in the halls, which we called the catacombs under the city, the students and I was twice their age. Be honest, Jane, 3 times. We would eye gaze. And then when we would share our spiritual guidance, so we had a training, we would always end up in that higher state of consciousness. And the room sometimes got foggy and it was so quiet and we could see it in each other's eyes. But then when we got back into the classroom, we didn't say anything. What was I thinking? And if it was me now, if it's Polly now, we'd be talking about it. So I had to go back in history. It was kind of like an archaeological dig to find the roots of eye gazing. And I discovered that the eye gazing was a portal and a doorway into your soul. And I discovered that that's what Jesus did. Jesus was in that higher state, that divine state, but he practiced it. He wasn't in it every second. We aren't in it every second. We were just talking about Carol. I love name tags. And before he would come across somebody that needed healing, he had been practicing that for a long time. We were talking about, oh yes, we were eye gazing a long time ago. It's practice. It's practice being in that connected place. Because I pulled out my research at the request of Kaji and Janice many months, maybe a little Polly in there too. Can you get me? Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Provided by Kevin, thank you. But Jesus, when he was in that state of love, he said that you were the love that you are. We are love. The energy that runs through us is love. And when you can't feel it, it's because we're pinching it off a little bit. So today I want to talk about that. How do we stay and keep returning time after time after time back into that state? Jesus didn't just plop down and stay there. He worked on it. So I experienced this once, and some of you may have heard me chatting about my story when I was here as a visitor a year or so ago. And one day, I'm not sure if I was asleep, if I had a near-death experience, but I didn't nearly die. And I popped into something that a teacher of mine said was an opening, right? We've had those. And I was in a light, yellow, white light. And I felt so much love that I could barely endure what I was experiencing. I know I wasn't in my body. It was like I was in this amazing place of love. And then I realized I was feeling not the love that I give to people and not the love that I get from people, but I was it. I was love. Words fail. You know, when you have an experience and then you try to talk about it, there are no words sometimes for what I experienced up here with a few of you. Yeah, you too. It was incredible, and I was crying. You know, it's hard when you have mascara on to not let people know you're crying. That's why I can't do this all the time. So as Jim was reading, verily I say unto you, yet ye be converted and become as a little child, or you will not enter into the kingdom of heaven. I got that. I got what that was. And what Jesus was trying to say is, when I work with, when I hold my little munchkins, they haven't formed the rational mind that Ian McGilchrist, I brought his book, talks about, but they are more in their right brain, and the brain hasn't evolved this personality. They don't have fear. My daughter with learning disability, she has no fear. She has no fear. So when she takes her dog for a walk, and this huge dog, pit bull, she's not afraid. And so the dog doesn't pick up the vibration, and the dog's not afraid. And my little munchkin doggy that's about this big can play with this big, should be fierce pit bull. But I never tell Julie it's dangerous, because she will change her vibration. The dog will get it, and then the dog will be in trouble. So I think Jesus knew those things. When Jesus was about ready to meet people, he practiced, he got in alignment, and he was very open. He was running so much love. You could feel it in here. I can hear it with the music. I walked in here and I could feel it. And he prepares himself, as you might need to do, as you prepare yourself to walk into a room of a relative that they do nothing but complain. But Jesus was here. And as he looked into the eyes of the people, as Matthew and John did, they looked into the eyes of the beggar begging for alms. But when Jesus is here, and he's looking into the eyes of somebody. How did they heal? I always wondered, how is that possible? Because people do it too. There are many people that do this. You can do it to yourself. So here's Jesus, and he's looking into the eyes of someone that is ill, some of our relatives, and he looks at them. And if it's not, I won't go there. And their energy also matches his. And in that moment, we could feel that when our energy matched. And when I look into your eyes, I see home. And as we get into that connected place, here's Jesus, here they are, and boom, there was the healing. And Jesus says, go and tell no one. And I get that too, because they're going to leave and go talk to their neighbor, and their neighbor's going to say, well, it's really bad. The doctors are telling me it's really bad. Yeah, and then whoever has that strongest vibration, and there goes the healing. So when I read the Bible or read anything in different traditions, and I'm doing it with the eyes of God, when I'm seeing a different perspective, oh my God, is everything different. I can understand what Jesus said. I can understand what the Hindus were talking about when they were talking about their darshan. I used to go to church and worship, but the Hindus go to get darshan and that connection between somebody. I get so in my right brain, and my left brain, excuse me, it has to look at my notes. Oh, Pope John, Richard Rohr, in his book, Learning to See as a Mystic, Pope John said that he believed that the kingdom of heaven is a state of consciousness in which one knows rather than it has the knowledge acquired. So it's important to learn, it's important to read, and even more important to be in that aligned self. And why do I eye gaze? It's quick, isn't it? It's quick. It can change your state of consciousness so quickly. And then once you learn that, then go out into the world and bring that state of consciousness. And then you'll discover that you're out of it. You could be out of it for a very long time, and then go on a lovely retreat and take care of yourself and bring that connection back. But when I was in that state that I don't even know about, when I learned that I was love, I also felt something to the right of me, and my only word is that I could remember was God. And I could feel the love, I could feel something that was God. And then I realized that that which I was looking for is me. When we talk about God there, Jesus can do it, what happens is, Polly told me not to back up too much. I won't, I follow the rules. But being able to keep connecting again and know that whatever you're looking for, you are it. And if you ever feel sad or a struggle, it's because you're not being who you really are. And the troubles that I have with my clients when I do spiritual guide or my family, it can be overwhelming, but I prepare myself before I go, and I spend time in nature, and I feed the deer in the backyard, now the bunnies, well, and the birds. Yeah, it's getting to be quite a menagerie out there. So think as a little child, and how do you get into that part of the brain that can access that amazing state of grace? I wrote it down in a book that I brought, and I'll leave it open. Ian McGilchrist is a scientist and a spiritual teacher. And there's a podcast on Hidden Brain, and it's called One Head, Two Brains. We're starting to find out, and I went, this is why. If we are in fearful, worried, checking account, busy, 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 and then a bird flies over, you actually toggle, my grandkids know this word, you toggle to another part of your brain, and then all of a sudden it's gone, and you can be more in that divine place. So your body can help you and with your spiritual being. My favorite is understanding the Hindu religion and darshan. And the icons, there's pictures, I think, that are around somewhere. Just pass them that way and pass them that way. The Christian Orthodox religion, they have icons, and only certain people can paint these. You know, the pictures of Jesus, and he has these big eyes and a very skinny nose and a very slim mouth. Special people that are specially trained, they're the only ones that can paint this because they can capture the soul in a painting. And why is the nose skinny? Skinny is so you look at the eyes. It shifts your focus. And just pass those around, and there's only 3 of them, so. And who does this? Greeks, Turks, Bulgarians, Ukrainians, Siberians, Russians, Romanians, Egyptians, and Syrians. So we can use an icon. I don't. But look how many people are trying to understand that eye gazing. They are really the window to your soul. And why was Rumi so popular? I just love Rumi. His work was so well documented in the 13th century. You know, the poet Rumi that Kaji talked about maybe a year ago. And he wandered with his teacher, Shams I Tabriz. And they had a radical practice. They sat in eye gazing for 90 days. People really didn't understand at first what they were doing, but they sat because they experienced the mind quiet and dropping into a high vibration. And they did that for 90 days. And when they came out, they were transformed. It doesn't take long. If you can look into someone's eyes and understand the state that you just entered into, and then you don't need somebody's eyes again. 15 years ago, Melinda said, can you do that with me after church at COJ? And so we stood there and we eye gazed. And she says, but then I'm gonna need your eyes. And I said, Gedji, come here. He said, look into Melinda's eyes. And they stood there and they eye gazed. And I said, you don't need my eyes. What you're looking for was your eyes. And so Melinda, that changed her. What you're looking for, even if it's healing, can be right within you. And if somebody, Shirley, is ready to pass, and you go with a high vibration and you sit with them, and it's their time, dying is not down here. Dying is when you release and let go and enter into that state, that divine essence, and they go. My sister has a mother-in-law that's ready to pass, and I said, I would love to come over with you. She said, no, no, she's ready, and I know what you do. I don't mean to do that. But Rumi thought that when he wasn't in Shams' presence, that he couldn't do anything, and then Shams died. And it took him a little while, but he went back out in the world and he realized that what they had, he could do with other people. Thank you.